Coming up, we're going to talk about 8 things at Universal Orlando that we think need to get on out of here. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Universal edition of the Diz Unplugged. This is episode 193 of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. The Diz Unplugged Universal Edition is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Universal vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. I am your host today, Craig Williams. I'm also joined alongside by my co-host, Ryno Clavin.
Hello.
The Mr. Ryno Clavin, that is.
The Mr.
Yes. Mr.
Manager. Get
me out of here. That's a fun little...
You know that Mr. lady?
I think I just killed her. Okay, already. Hey, I think that was a Universal movie, actually, if I remember.
I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah, it actually was. So this all fits in line. Welcome to this week's episode. What were you going to say?
Happy Madison, but I realized that was the name of his production company because those were his 2 big movies there for a second. Yeah,
it's very clever what he did there.
Yeah.
Good times. Okay, so welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. We have a fun one for you. This is more of just a little bit of a throwaway episode, not in a bad way. It's just we're still riding high on Halloween Horror Nights right now. We don't have anything really to add extra into it at this current moment. Maybe we'll talk about it in a few minutes here. We do have more planned alongside Halloween Horror Nights, so we have at least one show that we're trying to get recorded that's from the teen perspective of going to Halloween Horror Nights, but once I got sick and all that stuff, it kind of threw off the scheduling. Otherwise, we'd already have that one for you, but we'll try to make it happen before the end of the event at least. But Ryno, do you have any updates on your house list after last week's show? Because we did go on Wednesday night and we got a decent chunk done. I don't know what a chuck is, but we did get a decent chuck done. Okay.
No, I don't think so. Just that I continue to dislike Seeds of Extinction, and I continue. I think Carnival Graveyard. I don't care for it either. I like the idea, and I like the effort behind it, but the characters kind of like ruin it for me a little bit. I don't really like the steampunky weird.
Well, they're just dilapidated carnival workers. You're throwing steampunk around.
They're wearing a lot of masks. I don't know.
Yeah, it's steampunk is. I would go over to the Roach Factory if you were trying to. Sorry, Roach Emporium. But no, it's. I will actually say that I attended a couple times this past week just to do it, and unfortunately for me, Slaughter Cinema is starting to fall a little bit lower.
Oh, no.
It is turning into a really bad hit or miss situation. Since the first night, the people that I was with too have confirmed. I don't know if it's just the timing, everything, or if it's the scare actors, whatever. No one seems to be seen in the kids section.
The baby?
The girl that's jumping onto the bear with its head off. The bear head has been sitting on the floor of that stage.
Oh wait, but the bear isn't there?
Yeah,
that's like the best part.
I know.
The girl like biting the bear's neck.
Yeah, that hasn't. No one that I've gone with. I don't know in general, but no one I've gone with has seen that since the very first weekend. And
does the princess girl come out?
Yes.
On the side, and the other one come out of the kitchen?
Yeah, and then there's the photo booth that drops down. So that one's very hit or miss, yeah.
I still haven't even seen that one.
Yeah,
so.
But it's not just that room. There's multiple where you can walk through an entire room without getting a single scare.
Yeah.
And that's just not super acceptable. Like, I know you're not going to scare people as much because they're going to be seeing it coming in front of you. But ultimately, that's not a scary house. That's a fun house. So you want to see the people. You want to see them in the movies that they're in. Like, it's not been great. So that one's kind of fallen down for me. Carnival Graveyard did start to make its way up a little bit on my list. I had a really good run through there the other night. So, and started, now that I went through there without a camera in my eye or anything, I started to look for all the little props and stuff. So, like, you know, found all the
frog,
the fidget, the frog's very blatantly obvious to see. I even had video of it in my video too. But you did take a long time with the video of the frog in your camera.
Yeah, I showed it to my grandparents while I was home this last weekend, and because my mom's telling me that frog was like custom made for Eatable Railroad, and I was like, well, somebody's got another one somewhere, so I don't know.
It's very cool, but then like a lot of people started posting about it in the Lights on Tours and stuff. But like, there's 2 of the fidget spinners from Bill and Ted's last year that are hidden away in there.
Oh.
So I still haven't. I know where the Dueling Dragons sign is. I still haven't been able to spot it. I found the Run sign from the Run House a couple of years ago. So there's a lot to find as you're going through there, and I think that's what makes this house better. And yeah, so that's kind of the 2 that stuck out to me. Oh, the rain is
starting to downpour here. Hey, that happened out of nowhere.
That did. So hopefully you won't find it too distracting. If anything, it's going to make our voices more soothing than ever.
I'll play Enya in the background again today.
No, we do not need that again. But please, for the love of Almighty, just don't play it. But yeah, no, that's those were the 2 that stuck out for me. Seeds of Extinction, still beautiful.
I want Halloween to be better.
Yeah,
that's the one I'm hoping like I go through and it'll get better.
Halloween wait times have been ridiculous.
Yeah.
It seems like everyone is just walking straight there as soon as they get in the park, which I understand. It is now technically the first thing you see. But you know, that's great. I did not think it would be that much of a success, but it seems to be doing well in the area it's in. Poltergeist is still delivering every single night.
So good. We had a good run through when we went through.
We did, and then I had another good run through on Sunday. Stranger Things is, I think that might creep up a spot on my list. Scary Tales is still awesome as ever.
Excellent.
Even that, though, noticing some cast issues with that too, people not being in there. But
well, we had like a half walkthrough. Yeah. Like, it was really strong in the beginning, and by the time we got to the second half, nobody was popping out when we went last week.
And I mean, I can just flat out say our strategy is we go for Stay and Scream, do as much as we can, and then take off. So I don't know if it's a lot of times that we're just seeing the first cast
too early in the night.
Yeah, early in the night. So, but you know what? You have to take that into consideration that some people might try that are going there only have one night. They're going to have that same plan of attack. Go early, hit as much as they can, and get out. But overall, I'm still very pleased with the event. But we're gonna not talk about Halloween Horror Nights now for the rest of this episode, unless it randomly comes up for some reason. And instead, we're going to talk about the 8 things that we think need to go away from Universal Orlando. So all attraction based, but there's one that's more of a land than an attraction. I think you can already guess that up front. And no, we're not talking about the Universal Studios Music Plaza stage as Ryno wanted to do. But
I mean, I like the concerts there.
Well,
it's just a massive space that has nothing. That's all.
It is a massive space that has nothing, but it is great queue area for Halloween Horror Nights. And if that space wasn't there, how else would we get our yearly fix of a couple great artists and then other ones that we just don't understand?
Where would the Bare Naked Ladies perform in Orlando?
Where would Daughtry perform? I still bring up Daughtry. I don't think he's played the event in like
I think he's only played it
now.
once. Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, Kelly Clarkson, come on.
It was just because like Corey and Julie were obsessed with Daughtry for some reason, and just to think that anyone's ever obsessed with Daughtry in my mind is like the most hilarious thing ever. So that's why I always jump to that. But yeah, Music Plaza stage isn't one of them, but we are going to talk about the ones that we think are no longer not viable, relevant, kind of relevant, just need to move on from Universal. And we're going to kick off the list with our number 8, and this one is an asterisk to it because we don't necessarily think that the attraction area needs to change, but just that we would be okay with the attraction moving on to greener pastures, and that is the Simpsons Ride.
Just the ride, because I want it to still be Simpsons based, but I am that Back to the Future building has really played itself out. And that ride, I feel like, does give people a lot of motion sickness. And I think the video and like the ride is hilarious, but I just think that I don't know. I get it that it was Krusty Land and that's supposed to be the whole theme and everything, but I want it to be like a new adventure, or maybe just like spruce it up, or give me an overlay, or give me a Treehouse of Horror thing for Halloween Horror Nights.
No, it's definitely uneven throughout it. So I love the queue for it. Mm-hmm. I think it's amazing. The video loop that they play, I can never get tired of that. I just really enjoy it. And then once you get up into the rooms, once you're off the awful walkways and all that, and ramps going up if you have to go up, once you get into the next room for like the pre-show, I enjoy all the little gags and everything happening in there. And then the next pre-show video before you actually board your ride vehicle is awesome too. And then I do like the video for the ride, but it is getting worn out.
Yeah.
So it's that technology just isn't working. And it's a shame because those are big IMAX screens up there. It would be great if they could like even make kind of a calmer video, not as frantic, and do more of a soaring style thing with those IMAX screens instead of the rows of ride vehicles sitting on the ground. Instead, like bringing people up and just blatantly stealing Disney on that. But it just...
The ride vehicles do move up, don't they?
They move up out of it, but they're still then simulator cars. The same way that like you're in an open like Despicable Me.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was confused.
I'm talking about the actual like being up off the ground, knowing it with your legs dangling, not sitting in a car that is just easily, conveniently raised up into the air. Not like that. Like, yes, it raises up on a platform into the IMAX screens.
Yeah.
But it's like you're still just sitting down in it. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying is like change the ride style completely, change all the vehicles in there. But I would actually, if I could change it to something, keeping it still in Simpsons, I would like to see it go the route of more like Cat in the Hat and see it be like a frantic dark ride.
Yeah, that would be cool. I think some cool Simpson animatronics would be really out of this world. I'd be into that. I don't know. I would like that. I feel like it would actually be truer to the series than the video currently is, because the video, like the animation style in the video, it's also... There's a disconnect when you're watching this video, because the whole idea is that you're supposed to be there with them, and like I feel like it works when they're physical things, but when you're watching a screen, you're very aware, okay, I'm watching a cartoon.
Yeah, so I'm with you though. I feel like a nice blend of animatronics, even incorporating video screens into, would still work, but it just... it eats up people, but I don't think it's worth the space that it's taking up, because that is a massive building. For sure. But next on our list is another one. I would say we would put kind of an asterisk on it, because it needs to go in what it currently is, but we still like the concept behind it, and that's the Universal Orlando's horror makeup show. Mm-hmm. So
I like the idea of still having the... I wanted to go to school for special effects makeup, so... like lured me in with promise and then delivered cheesy gags that I think were fine for what they are, but we kind of like moved past that sort of a thing. I feel like in theme parks or something. I'd like it if it was a legitimate, like, this is how we do this sort of a thing, and not just like two people that have no idea what they're talking about doing it. But yeah, I don't know. I want there to be a celebration of that sort of a thing in the park, but at the same time, like, this show as it stands is... I think its time has come.
Yeah. I love the concept behind Universal has this huge background in the horror industry, and we're going to show you how these things were made. I just don't like the execution of it. It's that they feel like they have to dumb it all down for us to really get it. Like, yeah, there's cool moments where they show you how things were done, but then we have to throw in pop culture jokes in the background. And I don't blame the actors. They are literally just playing their roles, and I think they do great with the material they have to work with. So I'll just say that off the bat. It's just the entire show as a whole. No longer, it doesn't feel like it fits in the park anymore. And it's sad because I do love the concept. I love the show the first time I saw it. And it just, even in the past 7 years now, it has not aged well.
No.
In my opinion. So, and remember, it's been around since the very start of the park.
Yeah.
So it's probably time for it to go in that sense. But if they could just keep the same spirit of the show, that would be amazing. But or even expand it, make it more like the special effects stage show out in Hollywood, which I think is superior,
that would be cool.
because that goes into blue screen then and goes into how their CGI movies are made. It expands on it. It's a little bit more informational and less just stupid moments. It still has its dumb moments, don't get me wrong, but less of them. But that will move us into now our list of pretty much definitively things that need to go. And we'll start with number 6. And that's one of the attractions. I think it's so bad it's good, but its time is up now that Sinbad is gone. And that is Poseidon's Fury.
Yeah, I think this whole area just needs to, when the rest of your theme park is all still pop culture relevant stuff, that you have one that's kind of it's not like we don't know what Sinbad. Well, some people probably don't, but it's the only one that doesn't have any root in modern pop culture, I guess, in like nowadays. And so it kind of feels like you get to that area and you're like, this is where the budget was cut. Even though they have amazingly like beautiful giant statues everywhere, and I think the area looks great. It's just one of those where it's like it doesn't resonate. I feel like with the way it should.
Well, I think about the amazing theming that is the building itself. It is a beautiful area to stand in and just kind of look at it in awe. But then once you think about it, you can literally place all of Flight of the Hippogriff in the area from where the queue starts to where you get back and to enter the building, which there's still queue once you go inside of there too. So just think about that in terms of how much space you're wasting. And then that building is also massive. And I'm not saying there aren't fun elements of the show. Like I love the water tunnel. It's a cool little effect as you're walking through there. And the final room is just a pure energy, pure cheese all throughout, but high energy at the same time too. But it just, it doesn't fit in with what Universal is anymore. And I think this is inevitably on the chopping block. It's just when it's actually going to disappear from our world. And, with Sinbad going, maybe it's sooner than later, but inevitably, I think its time has run out.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Cool. Moving on to irrelevant things that don't fit in. We have number 5 on the list, Fear Factor Live.
Oh, God, get it out of here. I've always never really liked this thing. I don't really like Fear Factor to begin with. That's the thing. Like, I get the idea of a show that people can participate in and do stuff, but I don't know. I don't want to watch somebody eat bugs or whatever they do in there. And it's such a big area that could be put to such better use. Like, I get during Halloween Horror Nights, it does provide an area for stage and stuff like that, but imagine if that weren't there and we'd get another house instead or something. Or maybe there's another attraction or they want to expand Harry Potter a little bit further out. Like, that it just feels like maybe it isn't big enough to put anything there because it is just a stadium, but I don't know. I feel like I don't know if it's ever actually operating, and I don't know.
Even if it wasn't a stadium, I still feel like they could do anything with that area. They could add in dining. They could do something else in that section that I think would fit in a little bit better. So yes, the stadium ultimately does provide a purpose. It's for Halloween Horror Nights especially. So right now we have Academy of Villains Cyberpunk happening in there, and that's great and all. As we said last week when we talked about it, I still don't necessarily believe that Academy of Villains needs to be in that show. We flat out said that part of the intrigue of watching it was being in like right up close to the stage, standing, watching them up on a pedestal dancing. It's just it's harder to get that same feeling and emotion. So if they don't ever plan on bringing back a bigger stage show for the event, I don't know that it's quite as necessary. And honestly, for this year's Academy of Villains show, while I enjoyed it and I thought it was a lot of fun, they technically, with no hurricane issues happening so far, thank goodness, knock on wood somewhere, they could have built a lot of the stuff that they need for this on a stage like they did the first year, and it wouldn't have really impacted. I feel like they could have had the same show on a temporary stage. It's just when a hurricane comes in and ruins everything, that's quite an issue. But I don't think that's a yearly thing that we have to worry about. It hasn't been something that we've really had to worry about the past 5 years.
No, I was going to say that one that just happened was like the first one in the 10 years I've lived here.
Yeah.
It was like a tropical storm other than that one. So.
Yeah, we had the year before that, we had a little minor blip that everyone thought was going to be bad and was like 12 hours later was, for Orlando at least, was nothing intense. So ultimately, I don't feel like the Fear Factor Live Stadium is being utilized to its potential, because I would love to just see them clear that out and plop in another restaurant or something else, just anything but that. So it doesn't need to be an attraction, but it could house something like a Storm Force Accelatron sized attraction or a Kang and Kodo size. So there are still options within that as well. So we'll have to see, but ultimately, fear is no longer a factor for us. Okay. And number 4, this one could be a little controversial with some, but we have Dr. Doom's Fearfall. And, of course, this is over in Islands of Adventure, and it is the multiple towers that shoot you up in the air to try to extract your screams and terror, Monsters, Inc. style for Dr. Doom.
Monsters. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this sort of a ride, like, I am not, like, offended that it's there. I'm not like, oh, I can't believe they have this type of an attraction here. It's just very simple and basic, and, you know, it's sandwiched between one of the best roller coasters they have and one of the, or some may argue is one of the best roller coasters in Orlando. I will not make that argument, but... and then what I think is one of the best theme park attractions anywhere, Spider-Man. And like, then you've got just this ride that shoots you up and brings you down. And you're like, what? Like, what? I feel like in this day and age where we it's been more than solidified that people love superheroes. People specifically love Marvel superheroes. Like, you could have something a little more involved going on here. Maybe something that's a little more appealing to people. Like, I mean, I get the idea of having stuff that is thrilling, but I don't know. Just for me, it's just kind of like, you got some space right there. Why not do something a little more creative?
Yeah, I completely agree. So I think it's a bold choice. They obviously don't want to give up the rights to include the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom in their parks. So that's obviously a big reason why.
But they got the cafe.
But I mean,
I'm not saying it can't be Fantastic Four. Just make it something else.
Yeah, and I think that's the ultimate issue. And part of it goes along with Spider-Man. It's still an amazing attraction, but every time I walk into that queue, immediately it's like, God, why can they not update this? Like, I get the comic style and it fits in with that, but it looks worse and worse every time I go through it. And then the attraction itself is amazing. But then when you have Dr. Doom's Fearfall, it's essentially that Spider-Man queue. Just a little bit better than that, thank goodness, but it's not great. It doesn't match the actual attraction of Spider-Man. It doesn't match the queue that they built for the Incredible Hulk when it reopened. It just doesn't fit. And then the attraction itself, it's over almost before it starts. Like, you just shoot up and then you bounce down. And I think it's great for regional theme parks, that type of attraction. I don't think it has a place anymore in Universal that's supposed to be above and beyond with technology.
Yeah.
So that's why I would include it on the list. But yeah, you can't get rid of the Fantastic Four characters. So that's a big holdout. Make Disney suffer. as much as possible. So number 3, one of the newer attractions to come out at Universal Orlando, at Universal Studios Florida, that just absolutely needs to go, and that of course is Race Through New York, starring Jimmy Fallon.
Oh Lord, I just don't. We've said it before on the show. I like the building. I like what they did with the space. I think the queue is great. I think like having an area to go in and be able to cool off and do that stuff. It's so superior to the attraction. There's got to be a thing where the guest. I forget. We heard this about Disney once. Is that when an attraction is open and an attraction can become so bad that it actually affects guests' feedback for the day when it's open will be more negative than if it were closed. I feel like Jimmy Fallon is one of those types of attractions where the feedback from guests will be more positive if they never experienced it than when they do.
I don't have that feedback. I'm going to go ahead and be the optimist on this one. I'm going to say people actually do enjoy the attraction. They either find Jimmy Fallon to be charming and his humor is hilarious, or they do actually like the ride for what it is and the style of the ride. My issue is it's just in a bad shape when I don't like the queue itself, as we said, is great. I don't even need to go upstairs anymore. Like walking, you have to get through for the carnival graveyard area like that. You have to go to enter that house. You have to go through the start of Race Through New York, starring Jimmy Fallon. And you walk past the big photos of all the people who've hosted the Tonight Show and stuff, and you're like, oh gosh, I really like this downstairs section. I like the museum aspect of it. It's done. Everything else after that is kind of unnecessary and not needed. And we're definitely in the minority on that. We both appreciate television and good television and the history of television as well as movies and all of that. And it just seems like almost a slap in the face. Like we're gonna bare bones it, but deliver you some cool stuff downstairs, and then we're going to deliver one of the worst attractions we've ever made for you right upstairs.
I just wish you were in the vehicle that he's in or something like that. Like they made this video that would have been better suited as an actual cart attraction, like on an Omnimover or something, and not in... I get it. I get
we're
the theme.
In the studio
I get
audience.
Who was like, yes, we're in the audience and we're watching it. But Lord, was no one like, this is boring? Like... I feel like we're just watching him do his thing, the cool stuff, and we're just sitting there being like, funny, cool. There's a shark, great. We're on the moon, cool.
I'm right there with you. So it's I feel like when Universal goes through a revitalization after they get rid of some of the other attractions we talked about that have no longer a lot of relevance there anymore, I think this one will eventually be thought of. So too bad for Jimmy Fallon. I know he probably loves it. So that moves us on to our number 2 attraction, and that is also at Universal Studios Florida, and that is Shrek 4D. So the great Blu-ray bonus feature that's brought to life on a big screen, on a big moving platform. You can watch what happens right after Shrek, but before Shrek 2 and Shrek 3 and Shrek 4.
Forever after.
Okay.
Or something like that, yeah.
I was more or less looking at you to make sure that I ended at 4 and it didn't go on to 5.
Oh, no, well, you're forgetting all the holiday specials too, but it's fine. It's whatever.
So so just to reiterate, it only happens right after, immediately after Shrek 1, but before all of the other things. So a very necessary sequel. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to understand what happened between Shrek and Shrek 2. At least from my perspective. But this attraction, obviously, as we just mentioned, theater-based. Right as soon as you enter into the park, it's just on your right. So not necessarily a huge show building, but big enough that they can take down an entire theater to place a Halloween Horror Nights house in. So you have to think about it from that perspective. And that's something that could maybe... force their hand to keep this around a little longer than before, than they were ever intending. But ultimately, it needs to go. Shrek is still a part of like the Universal's holiday parade, but the fact that like Universal Cinematic Celebration debuts and is showcasing all of the experiences that you can have throughout the park. And the most we got from Shrek is the theme
song.
music leading into the DreamWorks section that then features How to Train Your Dragon, Kung Fu Panda, and Trolls. So it just, we don't have it on paper or anything that it's on its way out. I know other people probably do and have been talking about it for a while, but I'm still on the theory that I think this one its days are numbered. I think we're getting How to Train Your Dragon soon.
Listen, and it's not like I don't like the video. I actually think the movie in there is funny, and I love John Lithgow. So anytime he's involved in anything, I'm pretty happy.
Especially as a ghost.
Yeah, and so it's just kind of one of those where its day has come and gone because, like you said, it's readily accessible to be watched while I'm at my home. So it doesn't make it a special thing to experience in a theme park. And like, this is from a time when 3D movies were not back on the rise again. And, I know they're on the way out again, but like, it's not, I can go to a 4DX cinema and have a better experience than I can at Shrek 4D.
Yeah.
So it's dated and it's over with, Move on.
No, I completely agree. So I have a feeling that after the Potter coaster opens up over at IOA, that maybe...
What is the Potter coaster supposed to be? Can we talk about that for 2 seconds?
It's going to be a fun family coaster.
Yeah, but what's that building it's going into? Is that the Ministry of Magic?
No.
Okay.
No, it all takes place on in and around Hogwarts in the Forbidden Forest.
Okay.
So it's all in there.
All right. I saw a photo and it definitely goes into some sort of building.
Yeah,
and that's why I was like, what is that building?
The big speculation at first was that was going to be like the Great Hall and you were going to bust out of there. But now that they released a Pottermore photo the other day, it appears to be like dilapidated and falling apart and crumbling. So
like an old building, old school building.
So it feels more like it's just going to be a random abandoned building, but you're still going to go through the Forbidden Forest and all that. It's going to have the high tech. It's going to have you go up and you do a stop and then you go backwards. It's going to have one of the track switches where it actually you stop and then it goes up or drops down.
Ooh.
I think it drops down. It's going to be very, very cool. So. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No.
I just saw a photo and I was thinking about it the other day because I saw the thing that looks like they're building Hagrid's hut and stuff. So
I wish I could talk more about it, but I have a friend who is currently on the project, so I can't really divulge anything that I've heard. Of course, I haven't heard anything because if you were working on a project like that, you wouldn't share any secrets. So
also, you don't have friends.
And I don't have.
But Jan, you don't have any friends.
But I did retweet that Funko so I could get a George Glass Funko Pop. But that leads us to our number one finally, and this is I mentioned a land, and I'm finally ready to say it, and that is Woody Woodpecker's Kidzone with another asterisk because I love throwing in those asterisks. This one does not include E.T. That is with the idea that E.T. is being absorbed into Hollywood, which was what everyone expected when we all thought that Animal Actors, Fievel's Playland, A Day in the Park with Barney, Curious George, Day in the Park with whatever. They're all blending all of them together. But everyone thought that this was a for sure thing with Nintendo, but then the plans kept changing. I mean, it was a for sure thing at one point that this was going in this area, and then just didn't happen, and all these plans changed. But this area is literally awful. It's so bad.
I just don't. It doesn't really. It feels like it's one of those things where maybe for like little kids they'll like it. But again, like the Barney show, you've got the Fievel area.
Yeah.
It's like you're gonna end up. You're not at Sesame Place. You're not in Pennsylvania. It's not that type of a theme park experience, and it kind of almost like traps parents over there. Where I get that you want stuff that's all age group, but it's not there. I think great family entertainment can be good for both children and parents, and I don't think that area is very representative of that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that kids don't know about Barney. I'm sure some do out there.
Yeah, and everybody knows Curious George. You read the books,
Exactly. Fievel, that one is definitely a stretch. Animal actors.
They should know about Fievel. It's bad parenting if they don't. Yeah, you heard me say it.
I don't necessarily agree with it. I think we have an appreciation for those movies because we grew up on them.
Yeah,
but
American Tail.
Don Bluth movies are not always the easiest to get through. Despite the fact that they were successes for their time, but I feel like time has changed for sure. But I can't change time. And Kidzone's just not there anymore. And I do understand too the need for a kid-friendly area that kids can go and run around in these places. But again, when you see what Universal can do with a kid-friendly area, like over in Hollywood with the Super Silly Funland,
the Minions area,
it is just frustrating to be like, okay, but this is what we have, and it feels almost like an insult to kids too. Like, you'll be okay with this because you can run around, and you don't deserve anything that's new and relevant, and parents were also going to make you suffer through it too.
I mean, they have Illumination. They should start putting the properties over there or something like that. I understand that they might want to do that in Islands of Adventure, but it's like you could easily have the parade float that they use from Secret Life of Pets could come out over there. All that sort of stuff could be over there. There could be like a Grinch workshop over there. You've got all the Minion movies. I understand the Minion attraction is on the other side of the park, but that's just how it goes, But
I think about the Curious George section, and I think about how easily that could start to be rethemed to Secret Life of Pets. And I think about how the day in the park with Barney could be rethemed again into like maybe a puppet show with the Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah.
Or like we've talked about on another episode, randomly doing something with Sing and doing like you're watching.
Like them come in and do their tryouts or something, yeah.
So I think there's a lot of options to retheme that area with that. It's just it's got to happen eventually. So
my mom said the other day that Sing is one of her favorite animated movies, and I was like, "How often have you watched that, Mom?" Because I saw it in the movie theater with you, and I'm like, I think she just really likes the music. I just thought I'd throw that out there, and I remember even being like, "Excuse me," but anyway,
hey. Good for Sandy.
If you haven't seen it, I would recommend seeing it. I do enjoy it. However, I wouldn't be so bold as to say that.
It's in terms of the all-time classics, you have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, you have Beauty and the Beast, and then Sing.
Yeah. All right. I'm a koala bear.
Exactly. So perfect. So that is our list of the 8 things we think currently need to be changed. Go at Universal Orlando. We want to hear what you have to say about our list, and also about what you would add to your list if we missed something, or if you think we should take something off of ours. And of course, the best way to do that is, if you're watching this on YouTube, go down to those comments below, and that's where you can engage and interact with us, because even if we're not always answering back, I promise you I am reading every single thing that you post at all times. So just do it. No harm in it. And so please do that there. But otherwise, thank you so much to everyone out there for listening and watching this. Thank you, Ryno, for having this discussion with me.
Thank you I'm buying Sing on Blu-ray right now.
There you go. You have that. So for everyone out there who watched this on YouTube, of course, also hit that subscribe button. Already told you how to comment below, but then also hit that thumbs up button for us. We'd like to see a thumbs up. If you're listening to this on iTunes, of course, you can always subscribe, rate, and review us. All of that will help. And I didn't mention that if you need more information, DizUnplugged.com, that is home of our show notes page for this show, all the others on the Diz Unplugged podcast network. So you can find links to Facebook, email, Instagram, so much more. Twitter as well, too. So DizUnplugged.com. So thank you once again to everyone out there for listening and watching to this. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. We'll be back with you next week for another one. But until then, remember, we still have yet to change the name.